Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to Diary of an Olympic Triathlete. And as the title says, my track season is over. I've officially called it the end of my track season. I called it on Monday, and I wanted to make a video then, but I've procrastinated as I have many times in making a video for this video series. Um, but yeah, here it is, Wednesday. I'm here with the video. And yeah, I've called it the end for my track season. Because as you guys know, if you saw the video from last week, I'm dealing with a calf injury right now. It's not a very severe one. It's definitely the kind of thing that I could keep running through if I wanted to. However, I always have the policy of baby your injuries. If you have any niggles, as the Brits like to call it, which I think is very helpful. I think it's a very useful term. I kind of wish Americans used it more. If you have any niggles, if you have any kind of minor injuries like that, it's good to give them time to recover. Rest, do lower intensity training because otherwise those can turn into major injuries, or they can turn into minor injuries that stick around for a very long time. And the longer you do things that aggravate an injury, the harder it takes for that injury to go away. So once this calf soreness showed up, I've had calf soreness before. It's never been bad. This, I could tell, was a different kind of calf soreness, and it really stuck around. It wasn't responding to the typical treatment, the cold and hot that I would use, the foam rolling. Um, so again, if you guys saw the video last week, I talked about I was taking last week off, which I did. I took the full week off, low impact activities, only doing running or swimming and biking. Sorry, no running whatsoever. And I've been planning on doing like a hard bike, doing like a functional threshold power test. I didn't even end up doing that. I just anything that was at all hard was completely swimming, and then biking was just easy. So I was really letting my legs rest, let my calf rest, get as fresh as possible. And on Sunday, I tried to go out for an easy run, 2 miles, just test the water, and it was pretty much exactly the same as that I'd been a week and a half prior, which was the last time I had run. So that it's obviously it's a bit frustrating not to see progress from trying to treat an injury the right way, trying to do the right thing and recovering instead of just pushing through. Um, but it indicates that obviously I still need to give it more time so it can recover. So I got a PT appointment. I'm going on Friday to meet with them. So they're gonna do an evaluation and figure out exactly what is the calf injury and what's the right course of action forward. If it's just more rest, give it more weeks of low impact activity, or if I need to go through a certain physical therapy program, whatever. I know it's a minor injury, but I want to make sure I'm doing it the right way because I know people. I mean, my dad is the clearest example of he's had a calf injury that he's been nursing for 6 months. And it's never been so severe that he can't run. But it has made him like not be able to race as much and just in general deal with a lot of pain while he's running, which is not something I want to deal with. Because I have a half marathon I want to start training for. Training for that's going to start in about a month. Um, and so I don't want to be pushing through aggravating this calf injury and then making it so that that sticks around until I start half marathon training. And then once I start half marathon training, I mean, you're pounding your legs. Because it's just a lot of mileage, long runs, and just lots of here and there going for a 3-4 miler pretty much every day. Um, and I've never been a high mileage person, so I want to at least start healthy. Um, so that means baby the little injuries right now so that they don't turn into big injuries or they don't turn into nagging injuries in the future. So it is disappointing. I mean, I wanted to finish out my track season, with a bang. I wanted to finish out doing, a mile time trial, hopefully get the 6 minute mile and do a 5K and hopefully get the 24-minute 5K. Both of those are going to have to be tabled for for at least the next few months, because right now I'm going to be in just a period of rest and recovery, doing low impact activities and just easy runs. And then once I get to college and I start school, then it's going to be training for my half marathon. So the focus is going to change away from that kind of speed work and that focus to working more on longer runs, doing distance, holding a steady pace for a long period of time. So it's going to be a different kind of fitness. I'm obviously going to get fitter. And I think when I attempt again to run a good 5K or run a good mile, my aerobic fitness is going to be a lot better because half marathon training really does help with that. So of course, all running is good. All working out is good. It always pushes you forward. It always pushes you to get fitter. So it's not like I'm losing anything here. It's really just, unfortunately, like I can't focus on doing those races right now like I wanted to. Like I wanted to use August to kind of create another peak, have 4 weeks of good quality training, good quality, interval sessions, tempos, easy mileage, swims, all that good stuff, and then be able to be at a pretty good fitness to be able to give it a good crack at a 6-minute mile. But yeah, at this point I've been resting for a couple of weeks. And I'm starting to see some marginal improvements, but it's not going to improve fast enough for me to then get back out there and have enough to be able to do enough workouts and do enough, tempos and whatnot to be in good fitness. Or at least the fitness I'd want to be in to be able to, attempt a 6-minute mile and be like, I'm in a good spot. I think definitely if I wanted to do just like a time trial for the kicks, I probably could. I just doubt the time would be much better than the times I've already put up during the summer, because during the summer I was in rhythm. I came in good, and I wouldn't be in that in that situation, because at this point, between the Alaska trip that I was on and then coming back and being pretty much instantly injured, I haven't had a good week of running since a month ago. I mean, since July 12th was when I did my last mile race, and that was that was the last time I was in rhythm. And since then, I haven't had a week of good running. So yeah, it's unfortunate. But it is what it is. I always, when it comes to ending seasons, I always would like to do a race knowing it's my last race for a season and be able to kind of go into that with those expectations and appreciate it for what it is. I've been able to successfully complete a few training plans. Mainly it was earlier in the year. I trained up for a triathlon, and then I did the triathlon. And each of those times, it's just a feeling of accomplishment of like, all this buildup has come to this moment, and I've come here and I've performed, and I know I've done my best. And so you always want to have that feeling of like, I did my best. I put in, a real good effort. And yeah, and I knew this was the end kind of this block. Like, I've done this block of training, I've done this block of preparation. This is kind of the culmination of that. And now we're going to rest a little bit, reset, and move on to the next thing. And instead with this, with the races, I mean, the last race I did was 2 weeks ago. It was a 3K cross country race. I had no idea that was my last race. I was kind of hoping that it would just be like the calf pain would just be a small stumbling block, and that I was going to be able to kickstart my training to get back to a peak. So I had no idea that was the last race, but it was the last race. Fortunately, it was a fun race. I feel like I did pretty well at it. So I can't say I'm disappointed with that. The last mile race I did, I left a lot on the road there. It's kind of funny. Like when I was going into those races, I had mentalized to myself, this is going to be the last chance I'm going to have all summer, both to do the mile and to do the 5K. And in both cases, I missed my mark. And then I convinced myself that, all right, you probably overpressured yourself. You have a month and a half left. Sure, you're going to be on a trip, but you can train back and you'll at least get another crack at this. And it turns out I was right. So, I'm not getting another crack at it. At least not another crack at it at, the peak fitness I wanted to be at, because I just don't have the time at this point with, if I want to treat the injury properly, I won't be able to, do sessions and be able to, with good fitness, attempt either of those distances. So anyway, it's probably been a lot of rambling, but I just wanted to explain kind of the entire process, all the thoughts that I've had around this. Yeah, with that also means this video series is going to be coming to a close. It just makes sense. It's kind of a logical stop-off point for things, because the series was started with a much different intention than what it's turned into. It was meant to be a diary of my training for an Olympic triathlon that I never did because of injury. And so then it just kind of turned into the Chronicles of Jonah doing fitness things. But I think, it's probably good for me to just kind of call it a day here. Maybe when I start training for the half marathon, I might get back into doing updates. We'll see. I'm kind of I'm gonna make a call there. But yeah, that's about it. Like I don't want to just keep dragging this on, especially because now the next few weeks are not going to be terribly interesting. Because it's going to be, I'll be going into physical therapy, doing my rehab stuff. Or I mean, if they determine that it's nothing, not a big deal, they're like, all right, just rest it, nice it, then it's good. At least I got a medical professional's opinion. I didn't self-diagnose. Um, so, but either way, I'm going to be working on whatever the recovery process needs to be, and then low intensity work. So either you know easy runs or like bikes. I mean, I'll do biking and swimming at a higher intensity, but even then it's not like big stuff. I do have a couple goals in the pool that I definitely am looking to achieve. I've swam a mile in open water recently. I want to do a mile in the pool so I can kind of have that comparison. And I have a few times that, because I did, triathlons where I did a 500. I did a triathlon where I swam an 800. I'd kind of like to reset some PBs there in the water. And, most of the time I can't focus on my swimming PBs because they're just not as important to me as the running PBs. But since I'm a bit out of commission for running at the moment, I think it's another way to just keep myself motivated. Right now, it's just about maintaining the fitness, building a good, aerobic base, getting those training hours in. So that way, when I start the half marathon, I can start with a base, kind of here. Like I don't want to come like and start half marathon training and feel like I'm coming off an injury. Because when I came off my injury, I came off starting here. I want to come off starting here, so that way, my peak is a lot higher, or my chance to peak and get a good time is higher, and be able to enjoy the experience. Um, so, because I have gotten to good fitness. Like that's something that, even just like looking at my easy runs, they always say don't track your pace for your easy runs is not a good idea, which I agree. Like don't don't get too stressed about it. But I do have my training log, and I keep track of that stuff. And also just mentally, I on occasion will check, what was my minute per mile average. Normally I run about 12-minute miles, and just over like the last couple of weeks, kind of prior to my injury and prior to the race as well, I just noticed that easy run time kept coming down. And I was running at the same intensity. I was running like what it felt the same for me, but I dropped from going 12-minute miles to 11, 15, 11. On my last run it was 10:50 per mile. So that just shows like aerobically my base is getting stronger. A lot of that was just recovering the fitness I used to have. Um, because I truly I was quite fit when I got injured, prepping for the triathlon. So a lot of this has just been getting back to that point, and now surpassing that point and reaching new highs. So right now I'm at like a good base, and right now it's just about the base. It's about building that base, and then once I get to half marathon training, then it's going to be building a solid base in the running sense. I'm also going to try to do a bit of strength work right now because that's always good, strength and conditioning. And when you're reaching a peak phase for a race, you reduce your strength training so you can focus more on your speed and your other, increasing your mileage. You don't do as much. You usually drop from doing 2 weight sessions to 1 weight session, or so I think it'll be good. Right now I'm gonna do, get in the weight room, do a little bit of weights, do some biking, do some swimming, try to do some fun stuff, get some PBs in the pool. Even on the bike, I think I'll try a couple of things. I have a plan to go out and bike on a trail around here, which I really don't bike much outdoors because I don't have I don't own a bike, which is weird to say. Like I'm a triathlete, I don't own a bike. I don't own a bike that fits me, I should say, because the 2 triathlons I did were indoor ones, and then when I was gonna do the outdoor one, I was in Europe, so I was getting a bike there. And I was kind of in the process of doing that when my hand injury came about. So, yeah, but that's about it. That's just the update. We're gonna call it a series for now. I might give some mini updates about the half marathon going forward, but that's kind of the next step. But right now, it's just have fun for this month, enjoy things. I call this a mini off season because I'm not really focused on any one goal in particular. I'm just kind of enjoying life. I'm just going to the gym when I feel like it, but I do still hold myself to a standard of, hey bro, you got to go to the gym like 4 to 5 times a week. That's that would be good if you were doing that. So I'm not taking too many off days. I actually, like last week, I went 6 days, which is more than I ever did when I was training, because it was lower intensity. Like each day was just kind of like a bike, like an easy 1 hour or just like an easy swim or maybe like a tempo, like a threshold swim. But so I think like when I'm half marathon training, I'm doing 5 days a week, or when I'm doing, the training for track season, that's 5 days a week. But because like a couple of those days are I'm going to the track and killing myself running, and then I'm doing a tempo, and then I'm doing some hills, and I'm doing weightlifting, and there's a lot of stuff involved. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I would have liked to, because I had really good fitness. I definitely could have built up to an even higher peak in August if I was, fully good. But I think just a mix of, my guess is the calf injury came from the long run I did when I was in Alaska. I ran 7 miles when I was up there, which is the longest long run I've ever done. And that was during a week that otherwise I wasn't running very much. So probably not the smartest idea to do that. So it could have been from that. It could have been residual from the race back in July. It could have been a lot of things. But it just feels tired. It just feels like I used the muscle quite a bit. We just need to give it some time to rest and recover and do some strength work on it, and then we'll be back better than ever for the half marathon. But yeah, that's about it. So thanks y'all for watching the series, supporting it. I know from the view counts, it's definitely not the favorite series on the channel. I think a good percentage of my viewers are mainly Spanish speakers, not English speakers. But for those of you that have watched and supported, I appreciate it. Hope you guys have enjoyed the videos, and yeah, we'll see in the future if there's some more of these coming. But if not, thanks y'all for your support, and I will see y'all around on the channel. See y'all.